All right, everybody. So we're ready to kick off the meetup. All good? Everybody settled? I'm seeing some people over there. You guys want to take seat before we start? Awesome. All right. So good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We are happy to host the July meetup on Melpy. So before we start, if anybody is not on Slack and wants to join, feel free to scan the QR code. And another thing before we kick off the event, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are meeting. I pay my respects to their elders past and present and the Aboriginal elders of other communities who may be here today. Thank you. So we have a code of conduct which is basically dedicated to providing an inclusive environment for everybody regardless of gender, gender identify and expression, age, sexual orientation, disability, physical appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, religion. So you can find a copy of the code of conduct on our GitHub page as well. And this is our LinkedIn page and Mastodon. Feel free to connect. We have a lot of people coming and posting on these groups as well. So feel free to connect with people and share your knowledge in the groups. Okay, so this is our agenda today. So we are going through the introductions and stuff. So after that, we'll have our first talk by Kinnera. She'll present about Strands in an open source Python SDK that enables building AI agents with minimal code. Then we'll have a short break. Then we have another talk by Sue. She'll be presenting on automating video insights with Python and LangGraph, which would be pretty interesting. I'm personally interested to see how LangGraph works and stuff like that. I'm personally exploring that. And after that, we'll have continued networking session. And at 8 p.m., we'll be closing the doors. So before we start, we'd like to thank our venue sponsors, Judo Bank, and I'd like to welcome Michael to say a few words to the attendees.
Thank you all. Really excited about tonight's talk. AI agents, that's all the buzzword at the moment. If you don't know about Judo Bank is a bank playing in the SME sector, trying to bring back the spirit of the relationship banking from the 1980s. So everyone will have their own banker on speed dial instead of being a number. If you need the bathrooms, they're all the way past the elevators and to the right. If you have any troubles accessing that or doors, please let me or some of the other staff know and we'll sort you out. If we can also have some help at keeping this place clean, using the bins, if the bins are full, please let me know and I can help you with that. But apart from that, please enjoy the night and look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. It would not have been possible without our venue sponsors and our the sponsors as well. So we are also supported by Style Education and AWS. Feel free to check their pages. We have linked them on the LinkedIn. And unfortunately, we do not have anybody from the team here, but we are really grateful for their support so that we are able to organize these meetups. Yep. With that, let's introduce our first talk. So first talk is by Kinnera. She is a tenured AWS solution architect with over 18 years of IT experience in designing, developing, and deploying applications across AWS cloud and on-premise environments. So let's welcome with a huge round of applause. Sorry, slight mistake. So before, I'd just like to introduce some ways you can get involved as well. That's my bad, I missed that slide. So feel free to get involved as a speaker. We have, we are continuously looking out for speakers. So we have that Google form, LinkedIn, our Slack group, and Meetup posts, and wherever you can find. Then we are also looking for sponsors to continually supporting our meetups, and then we are also looking for volunteers to support the group. And I'd like to welcome Rinaldi to introduce what all roles we have as volunteers.
Thanks, Akshay. So pretty much just wanted to briefly talk about volunteering for a bit. So as you know, we're always looking for volunteers. So in particular, right now we have the organizer pretty much a role still open. So anyone who's interested in organizing, as you see me and Akshat pretty much always pretty much like doing as well. Like we're always pretty much doing some MCing, like organizing in the background. It takes a bit after all to kind of like get everything working together. So yeah, if you're interested in that, like please feel free to express that to us. Aside from that, we're still also looking for sponsorship license as well, and we're also looking for speaker license as well. So if you're interested in any of those roles, please do reach out to me, to Akshat, or any other member of the team here as well. And yeah, we'll be glad to give you some pointers on pretty much like getting involved and getting it set up. So thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rinaldi. And sorry about that. I had a long birthday today, so I completely missed that. Perfect. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the first talk. And I'd like to welcome Kinnera.
Hello all, good evening. Let's fix my laptop first. Just a second. Hello all, good evening. How are you all today?
Great.
Good? Enjoyed the business? Cool, that's good. I'm Kinnera Vajjala, a senior solutions architect here at AWS. Actually, sort of gave me an overview of 18 plus years of experience, but working with AWS for 5 plus years. I was a professional services consultant helping with migrations and modernization, and then enough of delivery. Let's get into a bit of sales and have conversations with the customers and present a little more. And that's how I became a solutions architect. I take care of a customer's FSI board, and I can take care of Judo as well. Today, let's speak about Strands. Before I start this, I really want to ask this question. How many of you know Bedrock? That's good. Nah, Michael is like, nah. Okay. I'll speak to you. Good. How many of you have started actually implementing the AI applications? That's good. That's good. Probably before I start answering this, can one of you tell me what's the biggest thing about implementing multi-agent AI applications? What's the pain point? Sorry, can't hear you. Good. See, the biggest problem with building AI agents, right? First is a steep learning curve. I'm sure we all come from different engineering backgrounds, and all of a sudden it's all AI now. So you sort of need to know all the frameworks that are used, not just for development, but observability, for tracing, model evaluation, blah, blah, right? That's the first bit about steep learning curve. And the second thing is lack of control. What we mean by lack of control is, yes, you have set up a multi-agent application, but how do you know it's performing well? How do you know it's performing as expected? So you need to sort of have some guardrails there. That's one challenge. And there are tons of frameworks. But let's look at how Strands can make your life easier. Next one is limited visibility, because the agents run in the background, and how do you know or assess how the models are performing? And finally, challenging to build and maintain, because every day you see different versions of models being released. So how do you make sure that you're keeping up? These are some of the challenges. Let me introduce you to the Strands framework. This is actually developed and supported by Amazon. And the reason Amazon has invested in this is to make the life of the customers easier. Now, it's not just for Bedrock. Imagine you want to have your own custom models, or you want to have a third-party model. Strands framework will help you with that. It's just so simple to start developing multi-agent applications with just 4 lines of. If I promise I'll show you the code base as well, it's super simple to do that. Some of the benefits of Strands, the first one is ease of use. Instead of taking hours, you can do it within minutes. That's because you have a lot of templated code that will make your life easier. And for maybe starting an agent, I'll show you the code. It's just 4 lines of code. By default, Strands works in Bedrock abroad, but if you want to change it, it's again just 7 to 8 lines of code. And it has got integrations with MCP servers, and it natively integrates with other AWS services. Before I get into this, how many of you know what MCP is? Good? That's good. So you know it's a world of MCP servers, MCP endpoints, right? And for those who don't know MCP servers is some I'm related as an API endpoint for REST with that makes your life easier. Yeah, that's how I compare it. In terms of extensibility, Strands by itself comes with its own native tools, and if you want to deploy your own tools, there are 2 types of things. One is a local tool as well as a remote tool. Again, using MCP, you can develop those and integrate it. And finally, rapid development. I'll tell you a story here before I get onto this, right? Strands framework was released sometime in May, and then we were working for Sydney Summit. That was on 4th of June. 4 solution architects were working together, and we thought, hey, let's do Strands. And it took us only 2 weeks to create a multi-agent AI application using Strands, and that too for an FSM use case. I'll show you that use case as well, and you will learn using Amazon QCLI and using Strands. It just took us 2 weeks to do deploy such a nice application. Yeah. In terms of what are the other things that it provides, I sort of covered the model here. So it's not just for Bedrock, with the models provided by Bedrock, right? It's for any other custom models that you want to do, anyway, wherever you want to deploy. It's an open source Python framework. Yeah. It's highly flexible, and the best part about Strands, I would say, is the native traceability, observability, and application. These are some of the biggest things that you need to consider when you're designing and implementing multi-agent AI applications. Yeah. Broad selection of tools. It's as simple as multi-modal, whether it could be an image or video or whatever models you want to use. You should be able to deploy that using them. The final one, which is super important, is observability. I know a lot of customers who are using LangGraph, for example, or Raggers, because the moment you start thinking of AI applications, the biggest thing is the traceability and observability. And Strands SDK provides native integration with all these tools. Yep. Let's get to the demo. Okay, before I start the demo, how many of you work for a bank? 2? Yeah, Michael Jury. How about you? Where do you work? Answer. Wow, nice. So I'm sure you will be knowing the process for refinancing a loan, right? And you know how long it takes. It takes around weeks for us to go and talk to the person, and then after that, they need to work with multiple teams to assess an application. I'll go through the manual assessment first. So you see 4 documents here, right? One is the pay slips, bank statements, credit statement, and this is the loan application. These are the 4 sample documents which the mortgage assistant will look at, and we have provided some probing questions as to what are the things that they do while they are assessing this. It could be a very simple, tedious task like matching the names or matching the trivial stuff, or could be like calculating a lot of stuff. So let's go to the first one, which is like applicant name matches with the employee name in the payslip. I know it looks like a simple question, but as a mortgage agent, he has to go through all this working with various teams, right? This is how they do it. So we have got only 17 to 18 questions as to just to show what all the things they do. For example, looking at their salary, and then they go to the credit assessment. Yeah. Let me just separate this. This is a manual assessment. Let's look at the AI assisted workflow. Again, this is built on Strands agents using Claude. So now the same 4 documents. While I speak with you, let's look at how long it takes to analyze these documents and come up with the reasoning and the findings. The left one that we see there is the reasoning. So some of the models provide you reasoning. 2 types of reasoning. One is how quickly you want to get the reasoning, and the second model is, this is called the hybrid model. The other one is how deep you want to go with the reasoning. With Claude, you will be able to get this reasoning as well. It tells you what that model is doing and how is it going to the next step. Till last year, when I remember implementing Bedrock models last year, agents last year as well, you had to wait till the model performs its action and then comes back. But this year, you don't need to wait. Using Bedrock models, it asynchronously gives you back the information as it's processing. And using Strands callback framework, we are able to get that. As you see, right, it's still performing it, but you sort of know what's happening in the background. I look at it in two ways. One is, as banks, though it's AI-assisted workflow, they need to have a track of what's happening. That's one thing for audit. Second thing is, if you look at the output and you feel like, nah, this is a wrong output. Why did this happen? That in that case, that agent trace will help you exactly understand what was error and why did that model perform that. That's the part about agent trace. That's something which comes with Strands framework, cloud reasoning, yeah. And the middle thing you see is the supervisor and 3 different agents. With Strands, an agent again, I would compare it, if you come from software engineering background, I would call it as a microservice. As a specialized microservice for a specific purpose, that's how I would compare an agent. So you have 3 different agents here, right? Income assessment, expense assessment, and credit assessment. And supervisor. So with Strands, again, you have a lot of frameworks that you can use using Strands. Like our microservice patterns, you have multi-agent patterns in Strands. And for the sake of this, we have used a workflow pattern. What it means is, supervisor is orchestrating the workflow. Supervisor will receive the request. Using better data automation, we have analyzed these documents, grabbed all the data, and within Strands, we have put in some rules as to, okay, look at this, grab this data, and look at all these rules, and tell me whether this person is fit for a refinancing loan. And that's how you see this, right? You see all the trace here, and then you have seen all, if I see from here, you would have seen like, these are the 3 agents that have performed it, and this is the reasoning. And finally, when I do review analysis, this is where it will give you the overall findings. You see there that each agent has summarized its analysis as to, okay, yes, looking at all the data, this is my conclusion. And then towards the right, you see the list of questions that we sort of mocked as to, again, we wanted to make sure it's an AI-assisted work. That's because lending a loan is not as simple as we think. You want to have a human in the loop who is actually looking at the things that looking at the log and making sure that the AI has done the right thing. And that's the reason we have all these different types of checks that the AI-assisted workflow will help you. Okay, I would say out of 100, AI-assisted workflow will help you with 80%, probably 10% of work where you look at it and say, yes, it has done. Or if you want to review it, you can click on review and you should be able to edit it. Yeah? And me as a mortgage agent for a second, I'm happy with it, I'll accept this. And this is exactly the demo we built for Student Summit using Strands framework. Any questions on this before I get to the presentation again? No? Any questions on how we developed it? Yeah.
Hang on, let me just bring the microphone over to you, Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. I'm playing with this Strands a bit too. I have a question about this specific demo. In this case, you are using the same agent or are you using multi-agent?
It's multi-agent. You see 4 different things there, right? All those are 4 different agents. Supervisor agent, income agent.
The second question is in which, yeah, cool, maybe this one.
This will answer the question, yes.
So is agent as a tool in this case?
No, agent as a tool is one pattern. The pattern we have used is a workflow pattern.
Oh, for workflow.
Workflow pattern,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this will answer your question.
Yeah.
So as you see, once you get the loan application, the supervisor agent, we have implemented the workflow pattern. First thing is you again tools. Tools is a terminology inside the supervisor, inside the Strands framework. I would call it like a reusable functionality. Using Strands, you have some inbuilt tools or the tools that you develop. So for the sake of this demo, we have built all these tools, get loan application. What it does is, go grabs the PDF from the test bucket. Using bedrock data automation, it will analyze the data and put it back as a JSON object into another S3 bucket. And then it will analyze that. Okay? That's the 4 tools you see. Those 4 tools map back to our 4 documents that we have seen on the screen. And then this is the workflow pattern. We start with the income assessment, and then the expense assessment, and then final credit. Workflow, the way it is like, as the name suggests, it's a workflow, and you sort of prioritize these agents by giving a number. So you say, I call it as priority. In that terminology, it's called priority. Based on the priority, it will invoke these agents. Again, in these agents, it will call the tools again, and it generates this report. Yeah. Hope this design is. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible because the audience, I asked Lawrence, like, what's the date? And then he said different types of, different levels of engineers will be there. So I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. Yeah. Cool. Let's get to the AWS architecture. With the AWS architecture, we have built it using all serverless architecture. All the 4 agents you see are simple lambdas. All 4 simple lambdas using an API gateway with WebSocket. You see the data in the front end, which is built on React. Bedrock data automation for analyzing the documents and getting the data, and then all the agent reasoning responses happens using the Python Bedrock models. The last one which you see here is more of a production side application, where actually when you're doing a loan processing, you talk to open banking or credit report, to assess your data, right? But just for the sake of the demo, we walked it, yeah? Cool. This is more on Strands agents. So I've included the QR code specifically. Feel free to scan this so you get the relevant artifacts. Have a look at those. I'll be here for half an hour. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have. Yeah. Have a look at the samples as well. I see a lot of customers. I've been having a lot of conversations with other customers in the FSI space, not just FSI space, even other retail customers as well. They have started using Strands, and have a look at the samples. We have been publishing samples. AWS samples is more the public GitHub repository where AWS people push the best practices. So if you want to implement something, look at the AWS samples. Yeah. Cool. All good.
I got a quick question. If you were to run the same exercise again, so over the same data, how reliable is the output from the agents to generate the same summaries, the same essentially output multiple times?
Good question, Mike. That's one of the things that people ask when they're looking at agentic applications, right? Let's get the first one, which is bedrock data automation. Even when you're analyzing the data, you are doing it using LLMs. Inside bedrock data automation, you have the concept of confidence code. So when this actually analyzing the document, it comes up with a confidence code. I'm 90% confident that this is a name, for example. You call it a customer name, there it could be a client name. But LLMs, because it's all based on natural language processing, it sort of says, oh, I'm 80% confident that the client name is customer name. Or if the name matches as it is, it says I'm 100% confident. So the first level for document analysis, you don't have a column called confidence code that helps you analyze. The second bit where you are actually looking at these tools and doing it, the way I say it is, it comes back to how you do your prompt engineering. With generative applications, the most important bit is prompt engineering. How specific are you when you're actually telling the agent what to do? In the rules, we have clearly written, do not assume. If you don't know anything, don't respond. It's as if you're talking to a developer, right? Sit next to him, tell him, do this, do this, do this. That's exactly how the models work. Hope that answers your question, Michael. I know you're going away from there. How much time do you have? 10 more minutes? Cool. I thought I'll time promise I wanted to fill up this SDK. So this is how the Strands SDK works, right? You have a prompt, and then you have the agents, and then you have the model, and these are the list of the tools. And for 90 agent applications, the way it works is using different models for different purposes. Again, just getting back to the previous design, for bedrock data automation, we used a different model. For the tools, we used a different model. So you can use multiple models across various functionalities. And based on that, it will move through that. And this orchestrated agent, or in our case, it's a supervisor agent, will collect all the data and give you back as a response. This is as simple, right? I told you at the start of this meeting that, if you were to start an application, it just takes 4 lines of code, and there it is. Copy it into your notebook and start running this, it works. By default, it works with Python, Bedrock, Cloud model. Yeah.
What did it was its answer to the prompt? 80 over 4. What was the answer?
I don't know. Cool. Let's get to the next one. This is a second scenario where we don't want to use one model for implementing your tools inside that. Say you want to have different types of models for different purposes. And I include the sample line of code here. Bedrock model 1 with Nova. How many of you know heard of Nova? That's good. Did you play with it? Yeah. Titan and Nova are made of this. Yeah. Nova premium model, and the second one is Claude. Claude works well for code generation. So again, temperature, max tokens, these are some patterns that you actually define when you're defining these models, right? Temperature is more like how creative you want to be. That's the temperature about. Or if you want to go with the default one, you just define a model and it picks up the default one. So this is how you pick up the model of your choice. Again, it's all internal to Bedrock. And now this is an example where you want to use a third-party model using Strands SDK. Light LLM. How many of you have heard of Light LLM or implemented it? Good. I see. Okay, hands. That's good. So before Strands, Light LLM was one of the frameworks that was used by customers, right? So Strands natively integrates with Light LLM as well. And as you see, it's a third-party model. And using Strands SDK, you should be able to, use that as well. Strands SDK comes with a set of default tools that you can use. It could be as simple as a calculator or an HTTP request. I come from Java development background, and if I were to compare this predefined tools, I would call them as libraries, Java libraries. So basically, simple libraries, Python libraries, which you can just reuse, right? That's the concept of these tools. So there are tons of tools that come natively with Strands. And here the example is for HTTP request, calculator, and there are tons of tools that come here. And if you were to create a custom tool, so this is an example for weather forecast, and as you see the dark viewings and get weather forecast, that's a prompt there, right? And then you return that based on this. This is a simple custom tool. In our case, it wasn't like 4 lines of code, it was 100 lines of code for our tools here. MCP. It's a world of MCP servers, and as I told before, MCP servers is how I compare it as an API endpoint. So for an enterprise application, if you want to deploy it or integrate it with your other services, you create it as an MCP endpoint, and using Strands SDK, you integrate it with that. And Strands SDK natively integrates with MCP clients. And this example is about some SDDA or client. Again, it's different lambda, right? But imagine you are trying to talk in your core banking, you are trying to talk to some mortgage specific function, what to do, or even any other. Even if you were to integrate it with the other AWS services like Bedrock Data Automation, for example, we have released an MCP server for Bedrock Data Automation. We have MCP servers. If you go to that MCP servers library, which is a public website, you see all the MCP servers that are available for you to use. It's not just for your internal enterprise functionality. You can use it for other AWS services as well. Yeah. Yeah, that's it from me. I didn't want to. Feel free to talk if you have any questions or anything that you want to discuss. I'll be around for a while here.
All right. Thank you so much for the talk, Kinnera. It was really interesting to see the demos. Hope you guys liked it as well. So we'll take a short break of 15 minutes. Yep. And we have more time. So yeah, we'll be back by 7. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed the break. Let's get back to the second session. So I'd like to welcome Sue. She's a senior software engineer with a bit of engineering, 10 years in front end, back end, and cloud. And she'll be presenting automatic video insights with Python and LangGraph. So yeah, let's welcome Sue, and over to you.
Hi everyone. Myat Noe Pwint, but everybody knows me Agnes as well. I'm a senior software engineer, and I've been working at a few different companies like Afterpay, IA, and RMIT. And I have started working on a platform called Denzi as well. It's a kind of like the video platform. And down the line, when I was working on it, I am looking at the video processing for the forms, and this is kind of like just a small part of the line that I'm working on. A little bit of background. I am from Myanmar. I'm not sure like how many people heard about it. Yes, and this again is one of the beautiful country in our country, and beautiful city in our country. And yeah, this is kind of like the one that you see, the yellow paste, is kind of like we applied it on our face as a natural cosmetic. It's very nice and beautiful. Yeah, enough with my bio. So when I am working on this platform, I would like to solve the problem of a little bit more granular query based on user intentions. So for example, like I'm a little bit of like, I'm interested in dancing, and I would like to know like, basics, like flow work is basically you dance on the floor, kind of like a flow work tutorial for dance beginner, and kind of like, you want to, rather than just like flow work tutorial or something like that, but it has more intention and meanings on that. Yeah, it could be for other kind of like videos, like 3 days, easy yoga plan, something like that. So that's a little bit of backgrounds that I was working on. And it comes to that automatic speech recognition, which is basically from the videos that you might have seen that in YouTube, and you can see the transcriptions or captions or video subtitles, and they are actually under this category of automatic speech recognition, which is also known as speech to text. Basically, from your audio into text, or versus like TTS is also like text to speech. From this text to, it can convert it into the voice as well. So when it is this kind of like ASR, it's a lot of like models that consider upon the conditions, like you want to transcribe when you are doing live streaming. You want to do how much accuracy do you need, depends on the language. And multi-language is also important for some use case scenarios. What error rate is also how much error per hours and minute as well. So there is like a few, I just got this from the internet, that a few like this is liberal speed, and these are the kind of like the data models that test or benchmarks for which LLM models bypass the accuracy. This for the what error rate. And yeah, among that, there is like a Whisper model, which is also very popular. I'm not sure like how many people of you heard about it. They have been, yeah, thank you. They have been trained and over 100 plus languages, which is interesting, and have been trained over 4 million hours of speech. So basically, it's doing well. But that's not only of it. There's a lot of other type of like ASR models. And have anyone heard of like AWS Transcribe as well? yeah, that's also another from evaluators. I think former speaker might know about it. Yeah, so yeah, when you try to transcribe the videos, you might want to consider about the how much cost as well. So among that, I had looked at it, Gladia. This is like the second last one, and it's still expensive. I find it if you want to transcribe for the whole video, it's yeah, it's still expensive. So I find it like Whisper is not bad, but just want to, if you want to study just only from locally, that's a good one model that you would like to try out. So I'm sure like some of you have been running LLM locally, but I just want to point out that locally you can use the Olama. I'm not sure I can show it here, but I'll show it later. So Olama is yes, you can run locally. You can download the LLM models to your local, and then by using the local models, what you have is data privacy, because if you use the remote like the OpenAI and Graph, you are sending the data across. But if you want to try just on the locally, then look, Olama is great. And just want to try it out if you want to. Yeah, just after you set up, you don't need the internet access, but remote like Grok and OpenAI, you might need it. But for production level applications, definitely you would like to consider these platforms. So Grok LLM LPU architecture, which is for the hardware, is really, they are dedicated to process actually lower latency, which is less response time. And OpenAI provides broader model facility, which is it is not only for it can be used for the general purpose, and it's not only used for like one or two kind of text, for example, like summarization of a text or image search, or but it is very wide range. It can operate different kinds of text. So it depends on your use case. You might want to consider which one you want to use. So so vector databases. Have any one of you have used vector database? Nice. Yeah, as you might have know, the vector database, there are a wide range of options nowadays that we could use. Vectors are basically, just to give you a brief information about vectors, are basically just from the text to the numerical representation stored in the database. And luckily, Postgres database is a relational database, not a vector database, but they have the extension called BG vector. Yeah? And that one we can store the vector database. So basically, you don't need to have a standalone vector database to store the vector within the relational database, Postgres. You can still store the vector and process the queries. So embedding is basically just a transformation from the context to the numerical representation. These are, the first line is like nomic embed, which is really popular, the embedding model, LLM model. And yeah, when these LLM encoding embedding models are trained, they use this publicly available data, like the Stack Exchange, basically trying to check the model by themselves, that whether they are right answer, wrong answer, trying to learn by themselves. So yeah, they use different kinds of like forums, and then based on that, different benchmarks have been used for different models, and it's not like one model perform always better. It's that one model might be good at these benchmarks, and then another model might be good at another kind of benchmarks. So yeah, the main reason why for this demo I used the Postgres VT better. Basically, I do not like much about the complexity and then network latency, which is basically OpenAI or Grok. They need to Python, the vector database. They are performing through the REST API from the web request call. But if I use the Postgres just within locally, and then it cut off the external like call and external time, additional time to process. And I like that in terms of security, that relational database that you can do the row level security, like who, for example, like user A access to this order table, or that's kind of like granular security that you can set. But the vector database like Python, yeah, they do not have this kind of level of granularity, but the index level permissions. So just a little bit of how do you use the VT vector is you just use the Docker image and then create the extension if it does not exist. And then, yeah, store the type as a vector, just a vector data type. And you can do similarity search. Yes, and then you have to create the index. What sort of AEN is called like nearest node search or AZ search. So yeah, you can create the index. And a little bit of like semantic full text and hybrid, which is basically you want to find the exact match of a word, or you just want to find the meaning or intention of the user queries without having, it doesn't have to be the exact match. It's called semantic search. Like example, like different kinds of data can be related to that. So I'm really interested in the hybrid search because hybrid search is like sometimes some of the fields like medical terms or lawyer, they might have a different kinds of terminology. It's simple, but then it's not always by using the semantic search you cannot always find because like models, it might have been trained on different data set, it does not understand it. So by having the hybrid search, you can get more accurate answer. So yeah, contextual understanding of the data search. And LangChange. Have any of you used like LangChange before? Nice. Yeah. So LangChange is kind of like a LLM platform that it has a wide. I think it's growing. It has a lot of like capabilities like prompt management, that you write the prompt and then you test it on the playground, and then you try to see like how much prompt accurate give you the results. And you can also deploy the LLM applications using the Blacksmith platform, and then you can do debugging, like what sort of results that LLM provide and give. And there's a lot more that you could be used. And yeah, that's I'm interested in. I would like to demo it. So. Yeah, this is for the LangGraph. It's basically, it is nodes, states, and edge, which is like from one point to point, from one step to step, what do you want to do? And then between that, if you want to share the data, then it's called state, that you store the information, and then in the next steps, you can access it, or you can add or modify more to the share object between steps. Okay, demo. A quick demo. So this demo is just to show the LangGraph process. So assuming like I want to do the ASR like from the video, so transcribe it and then store the embeddings in the database and then search it later. But according to the time limit, I decided to use the video downloader, which is basically just from the YouTube video downloader that LangChange has been integrated with. So I use that, and then text generator is based on the downloaded metadata from the YouTubes that you generate the text. And then embedding is I store this downloaded metadata into the embeddings in the numerical data and then store it in the database. When you just do the presentation, I put it as a data storing in the process as a graph, but you can definitely should do outside of the graph because like this is more for the LLM process. So yeah. So basically, for this setup, I use Ulama local. Locally, I ran the Ulama, and you can see what are the Ulama models that I am using is the nomic embedding. So we just So yeah, you can see that I downloaded two models, which is Quan and Nomic. And for the embedding, I use these models. So basically, before this presentation, I just downloaded a few YouTube URL along with these metadata. And then for a few like yoga videos and then some videos. Yeah. So as you can see, trying to increase the font. Yes, so basically, this is all from LangChange that provided. So I am using this downloaded embed text model. And for tagging, I use the downloaded one called Quan 2.5. And just to give you this, here is the main thing, is for the graph. So for graph, as you know, like there is nodes are basically a kind of like a steps. They are just a Python function, nothing fancy at all. So I register a few like these 4 nodes, which is like download text, embed, and then store it. So these register as a node, and then after that, where do you want to start and where do you want to finish? So after the video downloads, it will be generating the text, embedding, and then storing, and then finish. But just for the simplicity, but if you need it, you can also have a conditional edge, which is basically do this, if else conditions, like do this if you do that, do this if you do that. So yeah, it could be more, but yeah. So if you look at it, the video download, this is actually from LangChange integration that you can download the YouTube videos metadata. And then, yeah, that's pretty simple. Like I'm passing the URL, I'll show you later, but I pass the URL and then it will download it, and then I'm getting just the descriptions of it, and then video details is I'm storing in the state. So state is also nothing fancy. It is just an object that shared between nodes. Just a Pythonic model. You can declare what sort of like information that we want to share. And yeah, so either it can be Pythonic or just a dictionary that you can do. And after the download, I'm generating text, which is also another one that I just want to show you that you can do prompt here. Is I'm saying like, give me the video details. Depending on the details, generates a few text, giving the examples like this, and then getting the providing the variable of this detail, giving the generating the text. And then store in the states. After that, yeah, for the embedding node, the embed process is also nothing fancy. It is just a LLM model, which is as I showed earlier, just that downloaded Olamar, by using Olamar, downloaded Nomad embed text model. Using that, generate the text, do the embeddings. And then for embedding, it's pretty simple. Like after you use this model, and then it can be stored straight away into the database. So which is here, I just, as a database process, that I just store straight away that embedding into the database. And yeah, that's it. So it's a different process that different nodes that you can register, and then you can talk to LLM like this one, generate the text, or it could be other kind of like party that you would like to process. And yeah, pretty easy and easy to customize. Then after that, after I have run locally, I'm passing this URL that after I import the graph invoke, and then it should be able to store in the database. So let me grab anyone interested in any videos, songs? Okay.
Would you like software development?
No, I don't. You just copy this link here. I will let him talk. And I copy here and then here. Then I will run that and to store it in the database. So it is generating the text based on the YouTube video metadata. And you can see Latin music, 4K video, hipster line, Shakira. Yeah, as I told to the LLM that generate only like 8 to 10 tags, and it generated based on that. And these are what I got from this process that downloaded URL information. Oh, sorry, no, this is actually the state. URL video details that I am printing out and text. And then you can see here, which is embedding, which is the embedded information. As you can see, they are all numerical data. And these are being stored in the database. So hopefully when I search, it goes well. So I'm going to search Shakira. This one, I am searching for Shakira. Because I asked what is the similarity score based on my search, and hopefully the first one is Shakira. Yes. Thank you. Oh, it doesn't stop. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So other videos I could click. Some of the video might not be related, but because of the similarity, and I should pick the one which has the highest score. Cool. So I think that's enough of demo, and further information that I am trying to see is for the transcription videos, it is taking too long for me. Like it's not very efficient. So I might need to see some solutions that try to make section by section, and then maybe do a parallel, and then process it combined together later. That's what next I would like to see. And then, for example, like another challenge is some of the video doesn't come with the audio. Then how do I understand for the people who are not trying to see with the audio? So yeah, so it's called like clip model, which is constructive language image pre-training. Basically, model has been trained to match the image with the image, which is like with the frames, and then along with the text. So yeah, it's something that I would like to see more. It might be goes into the computer vision as well, kind of like to see the image. Yeah, that's all. This is my LinkedIn if you want to connect. And yeah, this is the Denzi platform that I'm working on. It's in the progress. Yeah. And thank you, everyone.
That was really interesting. I hope people got some project ideas from the last slide, including myself. I'm going to definitely try one of the use case that she was explaining. So yeah, that was great. So no worries. So yeah, then we can wrap up the session and continue with the networking. We will be staying for a bit now, and we'll be wrapping up around 8. So thank you so much for attending. See you next time.